Jake Ludington here at Up 2011, and I'm standing next to the winner of the Most Promising Startup Cloud Provider, Vineet from Ignite. And what do you guys do?
Very simply stated, we provide a hybrid cloud solution for the SMBs and departmental enterprises, which essentially is addressing their file sharing needs both in the cloud as well as on-premise.
So you solve the problem of if I need access to files both locally or remotely?
Exactly. So the idea that businesses will adopt a pure cloud solution when you're dealing with huge amounts of data, both internal access as well as outside, completely via public cloud is a little bit displaced because you have to factor in the latency problem, you have to factor in the offline access problem, and the biggest perception that I'm losing control of my data if it's totally residing in a public cloud. So the answer to this set of problems is our hybrid cloud solution, which, as you articulated, is a user doesn't care where the file is being served from. If I'm sitting in the office, I should get it as fast as possible. If I go outside, I should still be able to access with any device I have, and that's what we do.
And so most people are becoming very familiar with solutions like Dropbox and Box.net. Is this a solution similar to those, or how are you different?
In some ways, indeed, because if you look at the market messaging, and given that this is ostensibly a very crowded space, you would say, well, it's something very similar. But if I tear this layers of different providers apart, I would say Dropbox has done a phenomenal job on the consumer side, where their approach is simplicity and syncing your file off your computer hard drive into the cloud and vice versa. Indeed, that's a good solution, but that does not scale in mid-market, leave alone a large enterprise. So the way we see this is, our strength is you give people the same end-user capabilities or the simplicity of use of, let's say, Dropbox, without alienating IT. IT has to be befriended because they ultimately should be the owner and the arbiter of all file access and file usage. That's what we do fairly well, where we appeal to the end user, but our buyer is IT.
So one of the things that I know that most IT people are concerned about is data security, of course, and VPNs have traditionally been the way to make sure that your data is secure going from point to point when you're coming in remotely. How does Ignite handle that issue?
See, security to me is a combination of three things. It's the technology, it's the process, and it's the perception. And perception is the biggest problem. If I was to tell you right now with a straight face that we got security covered and everybody should trust Ignite, that's going to be a little bit of too much of baloney here, because large enterprises and certain industries, because of compliance needs, will never go to a public cloud solution, will never let their data go outside the firewall. The solution we have today addresses the encryption at storage, the encryption during transmission, encryption during using with any mobile device, but more for the SMBs and the department enterprise, not so much where the large enterprise says, I will not let my data go outside the firewall. We are addressing that problem with something that's coming out fairly shortly. In fact, I shared that in my presentation today. But if I look at where we are today, we address the needs more for the SMBs and departmental enterprises than anybody else.
So IT departments are typically suspicious of bringing anything into their network that isn't fully controlled by them. How do you overcome that hurdle?
See, there are two aspects to this. IT no longer has the complete choice of forcing some solution down the end user's throat. That is one of the big problems with a solution like Microsoft SharePoint, where it's been deployed everywhere. IT says we have it, but if you look at end user adoption, it's single digits because it's not very easy to use. So if I take this as an example, you absolutely want IT to be comfortable with the product that you provide, where they can centrally administer, they can audit, they can control who's accessing what, and they can shut down things at any given point of time. If you can give them that control and you can address the end user needs, you got a good product here. And that's what we are aspiring to do.
And in terms of who the users are of your product, I mean, like what's the small size business that it starts at, and how big does it scale?
To be very honest with you, when I started the company, in the initial stages, you want to sign whoever wants to sign up. So indeed, we have a lot of thousands and thousands of small businesses, which I would classify as less than 25% companies. But what I'm seeing is a sort of accelerating adoption of our solution in larger companies, whether it's departmental enterprises of companies like IKEA, or a 500-person company totally living off Ignite. We have quite a few of those. So I would say right now there's still a faster adoption in the SMBs as compared to the enterprise.
Do you think that's possibly because SMBs just move faster?
Indeed, the layer of decision making is a lot less. And also, it's a cost issue. They would rather not be able to spend, what, let's say, a company like Unilever can spend in their IT budget. They're looking for something that can convert their CapEx dollars to OpEx. And at the same time, it can help them deal with the end user requirements, which have become quite diverse. A, because of geography, B, because of lots of devices that people use.
All right. Well, congratulations on your award.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
This video has been brought to you by GoToManage. Try GoToManage free for 45 days by entering the code Perillo45.